Hello there, I'm Wouter Mulders and I do communications for DRIFT, the Dutch Research Institute for Transitions. In this video, I'm going to summarize how participants of our Shared Green Deal Arena introductory webinar saw the state of transition in biodiversity. So behind me, you can see the Xcurve model. As you can see, the Xcurve for biodiversity shows that a lot of just sustainability practices intersect with biodiversity, spreading across the 4 quadrants. In addition, we also see quite some linkages to other subsystems, such as energy, food production, and finance. Let's take a look at the upward line in the Xcurve. This is where participants have placed niche innovation in biodiversity in Europe. The biodiversity experts in our webinar collected quite a number of innovative practices that provide good alternatives to the regime. They mentioned that regenerative agriculture practices are on the rise, as well as the greening of cities to allow for biodiversity to flourish in urban areas. Additionally, we're seeing more and more innovative financial incentives to promote growth through biodiversity-friendly practices. Lastly, the participants noted a trend where indigenous practices and knowledge about ecological systems are increasingly recognized and valued. Above that niche line, in the top left corner, we see the biodiversity regime in Europe. Our experts noted a lot of pressures on biodiversity, which are often interconnected to other systems. Meanwhile, policies and governance remain siloed. In addition, the disconnect between nature and people was noted as a key characteristic of the biodiversity regime. This has led to the devaluement of nature and people not fully getting the benefits of nature to people. This lack of understanding also allows for greenwashing and for green labels to pop up everywhere without any real meaning to them. Let's look at the top right corner of the Xcurve. Here we see what better and more fair futures for Europe in 2050 the participants of the webinar came up with. What they saw as key to a better future was the formulation of a common language that is able to break down silos and lead to better understanding of human-nature coupled systems. As there is growing attention for biodiversity at a global scale, such a common language is in the making. In addition, landscape restoration projects are increasingly seen, providing more space for biodiversity. Initiatives to rewild areas or restore wetlands will be crucial to stop biodiversity loss and stimulate biodiversity. But before that can happen, the regime line needs to move down in the Xcurve. We need breakdown of the regime elements such as farming monocultures and hyperconsumption, which are responsible for much of the pressures on biodiversity. In addition, greenwashing and illegal practices that harm biodiversity in both the short and long term will need to be combated and governed. To summarize, biodiversity is at the center of many other subsystems. The value of nature and biodiversity seems lost, so we are stuck with siloed approaches and greenwashing. Promising innovations and knowledges are increasingly practiced throughout Europe, showing a future that is more regenerative and in tune with nature's contribution to people. Thank you very much for your attention.